I'm Scott Williamson with Water Education Colorado. We're going to cover a lot of ground in our first of 9 Water 22 mini tours. Here to welcome you to the tour is Sean Chambers, chair of the South Platte Basin Roundtable, one of 9 basin roundtables in Colorado that work collaboratively to identify local priorities and associated projects to inform the Colorado Water Plan.
We have the great partnership with Water Education Colorado. Many of their programs do a tremendous amount of good to help people connect with water and understand where their source of supply comes from. And I hope you enjoy the day.
So this is the demonstration gardens, and what we're seeking to do is showcase plants that thrive, they use less water, and they don't suffer if it's really hot and dry. One of the biggest opportunities in this region is to move from high water use turf grass to native grass. It uses about 50% or less water. It uses less inputs, less investment in management and maintenance, and it provides some ecosystem services. I was asked to talk to you a little bit about the water efficiency and land use planning and the integration effort. What we're doing is offering cities the chance to have a workshop to integrate water efficiency into their universal development code so that as these applications for development come forward, the water dedication amount can be reduced, and that these builders can help install landscapes that people want to live in and that they can manage. So we're working with partners on how to do that successfully.
Northern Water is 85 years old. It was established in 1937 during the era of a significant drought here in the Great Plains. And the Colorado Big Thompson project was built between 1938 and 1956. Full operations of the project began in 1957. We collect water in the Upper Colorado River Basin. We bring it through a 13-mile tunnel underneath Rocky Mountain National Park, and then we bring it down through our power system here from the east portal of the Adams Tunnel through a series of hydropower plants. The water is stored primarily in Horsetooth Reservoir, Carter Lake, and some in Boulder Reservoir, and then it's distributed. When we first began delivering water, the ownership or the units in the project were largely held by agriculture. Today, that ownership is about 70% municipalities and industry. Many of the cities in the area, like Fort Collins, Longmont, Boulder, Greeley, when water supplies are plentiful and they can rely upon native or South Platte Basin water, they will go ahead and rent out their CBT project water seasonally for irrigation for agriculture.
Welcome to Chimney Hollow. This is our overlook. After the CBT project was built, there was an economic boom in northern Colorado. And at the time, if you can believe it, the cities couldn't compete with agriculture to purchase water rights. Fort Collins, Greeley, Estes Park, Loveland, Longmont, Boulder, they formed a group called the 6 Cities. And they filed for additional water rights on the Colorado River. They approached Northern Water and they asked them if they could help them administer these water rights and deliver them to the east slope. So those Windy Gap water rights are owned by our municipal subdistrict. They signed a carriage contract with the Bureau of Reclamation so that they could bring that Windy Gap water over through the unused capacity of the Colorado Big Thompson project. The other constraint, I guess, in that whole system is that we could only store our Windy Gap water rights in Granby Reservoir. And the goal of that was to find a dedicated storage for those Windy Gap water rights so that we can consistently deliver those water rights to the folks that own them. So we kicked off the NEPA process, which is a federal permitting process. That project started with 171 alternatives through a scoping study, and then ultimately ended with the Chimney Hollow Reservoir, which is the site that you see today. We fill this reservoir with all water from the west slope, from our Trans Mountain Diversion water. One of the important things of the environmental process is coming up with mitigation for your project. Our biggest and most visible one is the Colorado River Connectivity Channel. We also have a number of just operational commitments as part of this project. You know, if the temperature gets high in the Colorado River, we said we're going to stop pumping. We're also doing nitrogen removal and phosphorus removal on several of the wastewater treatment plants. And we've dedicated Windy Gap water and storage in Granby Reservoir that can be used for environmental purposes. So to release downstream if the flows are low or if the temperatures are high. Very much like how it's outlined in the Colorado Water Plan.
The This is our family farm. My great-grandparents, Peter and Sophia Firestein, came to the U.S. in 1899. My family came to this area, and then the von Trotha family had immigrated over directly from Germany. They homesteaded about a half a mile down the road, and they were very involved in raising livestock, sugar beet cultivation, irrigation, farming in general. And when our farm was listed on the National Register, the Colorado Historical Society said that von Trotha Firestein Farm is important for its long association with the development of farming, irrigated farming, sugar beet cultivation, and livestock feeding, all critical to the development of Greeley and Weld County.
The Poudre Learning Center was really based on how do we help kids get outdoors, how do we get them to learn about their place. Okay, not just this place, but their place. This property on this side was originally farmed by the von Trotha and Firesteins, and they sold part of it for gravel mine to the Hall family, and the Halls turned around and ended up giving that to us. And so now we have 133 more acres. The school districts got involved, and that's when we got started. So we thought that first year might have, maybe 2,000 visitors come by. Well, we did orientations with teachers, and we had 600 teachers go through orientation, which ended up getting around 6,000 students the very first year. Some of those kids we started with in 2005, of course, are out of college, and they're voting, and they're making decisions. And one of those decisions is to help support natural areas in our community. They're also looking at different ways to solve our water problem. And it's a very barn-raising community where we're all working together to make this happen.
I work for Westervelt Ecological Services. We are primarily a mitigation banking company that builds out large restoration projects and basically pays for those projects through the sale of mitigation credits. And as we get those credit releases, we're able to utilize those as customers come to us that are unable to avoid wetland impacts. We sell off those credits and are able to offset those impacts. So the bank itself runs along the Big Thompson River, and just over here is the South Platte. You know, in total, the site, we excavated about 400,000 cubic yards of dirt with this site, and we used native vegetation to Colorado to reseed the site. For a mitigation bank to work, the site needs to be protected in perpetuity. But if we're able to put these large projects on the ground that bring a large ecological benefit, that's what we want to keep doing.
I mean, you can see that we've got some areas that we can get really close to the river, and so we can do some water quality sampling. We have some nets and we have some tubs, and we're hoping that some of you will put on those boots and go around and see if you can find some bugs. And then you also have essentially a report card. You have a sheet of paper that has a line for turbidity, dissolved oxygen, pH, temperature, etc. So you'll be able to make all these readings, and together as a team, we're also going to do a couple nitrate and phosphate tests right here. If you have your buddy, you have everything you need to successfully accomplish this water quality sampling project.